Everyone, and welcome to chapel and welcome to October. I know you are busy and working hard as the weather changes and the leaves start turning and autumn arrives in full force. We will continue our speaker series today and next Monday, and then gear up to welcome parents and alumni back to campus on October 14th. I know our students and faculty are looking forward to the extended weekend from October 15 to 17. We will begin chapel today with remarks from Natalie, and when Helena finishes, you will be dismissed. Natalie.
Hi, Suffield. My name is Natalie Lada, and I'm a three-year senior from Larchmont, New York. When thinking about what to write for my chapel speech, I really reflected on my experience at Suffield. While I've had a great time on both the soccer and tennis teams and in many of my classes, when I think about what makes Suffield feel like home, it's the community and the people that I've met. I spent the first 6 years of my life living in Bermuda, a small but very social island. Even in my short time in Bermuda, I made friends that I'm still in touch with. I got a sense of what it was like to be part of and value a community. The summer before entering first grade, I moved to Larchmont, where community is again important. Everyone knows everybody, and families come together around school and community events. These small communities have their pros and cons, but as a social kid, I love the sense of belonging and the close relationships they both provided for me. When I left home to attend Suffield, what I feared most was starting over and leaving behind the kids that I had grown up with. I knew that if I didn't socially connect or feel a sense of belonging at Suffield, that I wouldn't truly love it here. To be honest, it was a bit of a rocky start. Coming to Suffield as a new sophomore and being placed in a mostly freshman dorm during COVID was difficult, as I couldn't go into other dorms to meet new people or find new friends. I was lucky to have a few sophomore friends in the dorm, but I couldn't help to think that the other sophomores already knew each other and had established their friend groups. So my days consisted of me just making it through, going to class, soccer practice, and then study hall all over again. Watching my friends at home on social media was difficult, and I honestly wondered if I'd made a mistake. While I wouldn't choose to relive my sophomore fall term, there was something positive that came from it. My now roommate, Bryn. Bryn and I are the perfect roommate duo. We go to bed at the same time, we wake up at the same time, we listen to similar music, and most importantly, we wear the same size clothes, so naturally I have double the wardrobe. Some people even say we look alike. The only real difference is that Bryn has the hearing of a 9-year-old woman and religiously listens to Trisha Paytas' podcasts with no AirPods in. While I was lucky to have such a close friend, things got pretty boring, just the two of us in the dorm. Everything really started to turn around when me and Bryn were placed in the sophomore dorm during the winter term. Although some of the girls had already been together at Suffield for some time, we quickly bonded. We went from strangers to family quickly, laughing about my lack of a driver's license at 17 and Morgan's love for cupcakes. You know you found good friends when they're cheering you on at your best moments, but are also there to lift you up at your lowest, and I'm lucky enough to say that I found that here at Suffield. I've also learned a lot from the people that I've met here. I now know that if you want to have a peaceful Sunday, do not wake Lauren up before 10:45, and if you ask Ellie a question about the royal family, don't plan on hearing about anything else for at least another 15 minutes. I've also picked up on a few ways to communicate to Campbell that I don't want to go for a run on Sunday mornings, and I've learned that the best way to go is to simply ignore her texts and pretend that I'm still sleeping. But seriously, I learned about the importance of friendship and that above everything, there's nothing more important than surrounding yourself with solid people. I can honestly say that everyone I've met here at Suffield has had an impact on my life in one way or another. While the thought of senior year and graduating is exciting, I often think about the next 4 years of my life as I leave another close-knit community for yet another unknown. I can only hope that I find my people in college just like I did here. I want to thank my advisor, Ms. Naumann, for her constant support, my parents for providing me the opportunity to come to Suffield and making sure that I've always had a loving community supporting me, and my brother Henry. Even though I was disappointed to find out that I was getting a brother and not a sister, I couldn't ask for a better person to go through life with. While I might not have realized it as a new and scared sophomore, I now know that what I love about Suffield is what I love about Larchmont and even Bermuda: people, friends, and the community. I absolutely made the right decision in coming to Suffield, and I know that I've made lifelong, lasting friendships. Thank you.
Hello, Suffield. My name is Cindy Tide. I'm a 4-year senior from down in China. Being in Suffield for 4 years, I've learned a lot of things, but the most important thing that I learned is to not be a procrastinator. Since freshman year, I gained this horrible habit of doing things later. Usually, I am a very indoor person, and by that I mean I never leave my room until a fire alarm goes off. However, things of the outside world tend to attract me more when I need to do my work. And so the second something interesting happened outside, I would say, see you later to my homework and run out of my dorm. Or if my Nintendo Switch is anywhere near my eyesight, I would always dump my homework and pick up my Switch. I could not help it. It was like my Animal Crossing was calling out to me. I would always choose my Animal Crossing, and even though I made zero progress in that game and still don't know how to decorate my island. But this distraction and procrastination created a problem. I cannot remember how many times I heard a teacher say, the homework tonight is easy and it will take less than 10 minutes to do, and I cannot remember how many times I fell for that trick. No, it is not 10 minutes of work, and no, it is not easy. The second I opened my Schoology calendar page, that one sentence always come up in my head and through my mouth at the same time. I'm screwed. I cannot remember how many nights I stayed up until 4 o'clock in the morning trying to finish a pile of work on Schoology that I created for myself when faced with the decision, should I go to sleep and get a detention instead, or should I finish my work so I can get everything off my plate? Interestingly, it is often both scenarios combined. That is, me falling asleep while trying to do work and wake up in the morning and find a line I drew across the book page when I was annotating. As you can imagine, no, I did not get a good night's sleep, and no, I did not finish my work. And by the way, this happened multiple times in multiple classes. Eventually, at the end of the day, I received a 4-hour detention. Every time I procrastinate or decide to sleep or play games instead of doing my homework, I question myself, why did I do that? Even though I've been here 4 years, this situation still happens occasionally, but the chances of me piling homework until the very last minute has decreased. I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of my brain. So if I must give them some advice to everyone in this room, it would be, do not procrastinate. You might feel happy at first, but trust me, the amount of suffering you will go through later, it's not worth it, and you will possibly have a mental meltdown. Thank you.
Hi Suffield, my name is Amelia and I'm a 4-year senior from East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Many of you know Nora, my younger sister. Being only 20 months apart, she is my built-in best friend. For as long as I can remember, we have always been inseparable. But what many of you don't know, and what many people are surprised to learn, is that we also have a younger 13-year-old brother, Henry. Growing up, the 3 of us have always been really close. Nora has been my partner in crime from day one. Our opposite personalities are an unlikely pair, but the way I see it, we both bring out the best in each other. Having Nora here at Suffield has been such an important part of my experience. I always knew Suffield was the right place for me, but my time here would not be the same without her. As for my younger brother Henry, my relationship with him is much different than my relationship with Nora. Nonetheless, it is equally strong and important. I've had the privilege of spending my last 3 years here with Nora, though I will not share the same experience with Henry. Henry, I wish you the best high school experience possible, my advice being to find what you love and immerse yourself in it. Take advantage of every opportunity that you are presented with. Work hard and you won't regret it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, and don't let your mistakes get the best of you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Everyone here has the same goal, to help you succeed. My go-to person for anything and everything, who is crucial to my success, happens to be both my advisor and my college counselor, Mrs. Salvatelli. Mrs. Salvatelli, you have helped me with so much, and without it, I wouldn't be where I am today. I look forward to each Monday we meet because I know when I walk in, I will be greeted with your warm smile and laughter. You are someone that I can confide in, and I know I can go to you whenever needed. You never fail to give me the answers that I am looking for. Even though the last few weeks of fall will certainly be stressful as college deadlines approach, I know that I will get through it with your guidance and support. Thank you to my parents for your constant love and encouragement. I appreciate every opportunity that you have given me, and your support has been invaluable. Though this chapter of high school is coming to a close, I know I have learned a lot and still have much more to learn wherever I go. Nora, I will miss coming to school with you every day and people confusing us as twins. Henry, I know high school can be daunting, but you are more than capable of tackling all of its challenges. And so to my family in Suffield, thank you.
Hello, Suffield. My name is Andrew Kim, and I'm a 4-year senior from Seoul, South Korea. I never really planned to attend Suffield Academy. When I was at Hillside, my junior boarding school, the school gave me a week to tour schools. While visiting schools around, I was supposed to fly to Pennsylvania to tour the schools there. Unfortunately, due to the hurricane, my flight got canceled, so my family had to change the plan. Instead of sitting on the plane, I was at Suffield Academy. I forgot who interviewed me, but when I interviewed for Suffield, I forgot the school name, so I constantly repeated this school to replace the word Suffield. Thanks to God, while I was in panic, I saw the Suffield logo at the ground and finally took relief and bring the Suffield name up in front of the interviewer. A couple months after I finished the tour, I was just waiting for the result until my parents noticed that my Korean counselor was a crook and did not apply to a single school. While all my friends decided which school to attend next year, I was the only one left in the school, still looking for the schools to apply. When I applied in April, Suffield was my first school that I got in, so I decided to come to Suffield. Sometimes the best things that happen to us are not our first choice. Although Suffield wasn't my first choice school, I really enjoyed my time at Suffield. I met my friends who I would never have met if I did not come to Suffield. Recalling my memories back, I enjoyed the time when I did a proctorship at SAMI with a bunch of maniac kids. And I also remember the time when Mr. Warren was yelling at me every practice for making a mistake. And yes, I skipped multiple practices and made a mistake quite often. Before I end the speech, I would like to thank my advisor, Mrs. Salvatelli, who has been my advisor for 3 years. She's a heartwarming person, and she's the person who is always willing to listen and suggest a solution to my problem. You helped me go through the toughest time of my life. Thank you. And thank you for listening to my speech.
Hi, my name is Kelly Kim, a 3-year senior from Busan, South Korea. My first impression of my 3-year roommate, Nana, was that she was kind but rather shy and quiet. To be honest, at first, we did not get along. We had very different personalities. While anyone could tell at first sight that I am extroverted and not afraid to speak up, Nana was quite the opposite. She would never say a word about my messy side, even though I could see the mild frustration in her eyes at times. On the other hand, I did not hesitate to address possible inconveniences that we face in our room. One of them was our clashing sleeping schedules. Nana was in her bed sleeping by 11 p.m. while I was up until 2 a.m. Often, because I hated having to turn on my bright desk lamp while she was asleep, I went to the common room. But soon enough, Nana noticed my routine and it was time for us to be real. Although uncomfortable at first, it was good to finally open up and acknowledge our differences as roommates. We started off as roommates trying to decide whether we should go on a huge cleanup every Sunday, but soon evolved as best friends eating ramen together at night. Since then, every Sunday, no matter how much workload we have, we make the time to go to the Target to grab our favorite pink drink from Starbucks. And almost on a daily basis, we grab vanilla iced coffee from the snack bar. Although it doesn't do much for our physical health, and it at least does something for our mental health, and it keeps us alive from exams. After we chug the vanilla iced coffee, we always comfort each other, saying, "It's okay, we'll go to the gym tomorrow," though this never happens. Other than our bonding sessions over coffee, Nana often brings her material from Mrs. Gottwald's English class and asks me, "Hey Kelly, this is something very important, but do you think this is a good golden line?" When I don't even take the same class as her to know what the golden line is. That aside, all the bonding moments I had with Nana have a special place in my heart. I most value the presence of my roommate Nana during difficult times. Last year, There was a time when I had 3 exams for challenging courses in a single day, and I desperately stayed up at night to prepare for the exams. That same week, my mom back in my home country was diagnosed with another tumor, and the fact that I couldn't be there for her along with the stress from exam mentally drained me. So even when Nene was kind enough to console me, I wasn't able to respond to her kindness. But Nene didn't give up. I still remember the miso soup that Nene made for me last year. She said, "Kelly, I can't help you with AP Calc, but I can give you some miso soup." I honestly cannot imagine how I would push through my academics and other life challenges without the support of my roommate during my junior year. I also didn't forget to return this favor, bringing snacks and cosmetics from Korea that Nene would like. We weren't competing to see who gives the best advice and the best presents, but the mutual support we had for each other meant more than words could describe. The experience of sharing a room with Nene will always be a memorable part of my life. I came to understand the value of open communication in solving conflicts because of the differences between people. Although we have less than a year left until graduation, I get to share a room with not only Nene, but also Cindy this year. I can't wait to see how deeper our relationship will become. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Suffield. I'm William Kim from many different places. People told me that writing the senior speech was pretty easy for them, but writing the speech last night, I struggled from the very first sentence. I usually have a hard time introducing myself, specifically when I'm sharing where I'm from. For many people, the place they were born, where they live, and where they spent most of their life is the same. I assume this makes most of the first sentence of every single senior speech a bit easier than mine. In my case, it was not so easy to decide what to say after I'm William Kim. I was born in San Jose, California, spent the majority of my life in Seoul, South Korea, but currently living in Southlake, Texas. But spent the majority of the past 4 years in Suffield, Connecticut. Sorry if that was confusing. But anyways, most of y'all would agree that Suffield is definitely not the first on the list of where I'm from. However, if the determining factor of where I'm from is where I think of home and where I'm most comfortable, I would introduce myself by saying, "Good afternoon, Suffield. I'm William Kim from Spencer, Suffield Academy." Spending 3 consecutive years in Spencer Dome has been a place I come. Considering Spencer Dome like a household with neighboring households like Sami, Fuller, and more, Suffield Academy has become like a town where we all live in. And this town isn't like any other town. What I'm trying to say is that Suffield Academy is more than just a school. Suffield doesn't only teach us subjects like math, English, and science, but we also learn things that only Suffield provides. Not only do we feel this from our incredible community, it is also very evident even during classes when Suffield Academy should feel like school. Countless courses that Suffield Academy provides teach us more than the subject itself, just like how Chinese class taught me how much money Mr. Young lost through stocks. Spending 4 years at Suffield Academy, I have gained a new habit of comparing myself at the start of each academic year and myself at the end of the academic year. Through this comparison, I realized that what Suffield taught me has allowed me to grow immensely as a student, a son, a brother, and a friend. Additionally, as I became a senior in such a diverse community with diverse ideologies and ways of thinking, I became a student more passionate and motivated than I have ever been towards my goals. And my biggest regret is that I haven't engaged more in this amazing community that taught me so much. To be honest, I did not take past senior speeches into account and take advantage of all that Suffield has to offer like they told us to do. But yet, I still grew from a scared and self-doubtful little freshman to a confident and successful senior. Even though right now is the best time for me to end this speech by saying, so take advantage of what Suffield has to offer, like past thousands of senior speeches have said, I'm not going to just because I know that most of y'all won't remember any of the things I just said by the end of the day. Instead, I want to end this speech by thanking my grandma, my mom, my dad, and my sister for supporting me and always believing in me through all my ups and downs. I wouldn't be the person I am today without you all. Thank you.
Hi Suffield, my name is Brandon Park and I'm a 4-year senior from Seoul, South Korea. There's a restaurant that I frequently visit in my neighborhood. It's a small ramen shop with counter-only seating. But unlike many ramen shops you might find scattered across the back street of Osaka, this one specializes in fusion ramen, combining ingredients, styles, and flavors from noodle dishes across the globe. Their signature dish is a bowl of ramen that melds Japanese and Korean flavors. I literally eat this at least twice a week. It is that good. But not everyone feel this way. There are those who turn their noses up at these concoctions, avoiding them like a person with COVID. Ugh, that's blasphemous. How can you even? These people tend to be purists, similar to those who might object to Baz Luhrmann's interpretation of Romeo and Juliet, or those who refuse to recognize a tribe called Quest I Can Kick It as music, because in their minds, it's just a mashup of samples. While I understand the purist respect for tradition, I cannot get on board with the purist mindset that something must be a certain way, or that we must fit a certain mold and aspire to conform to society's standards. We live in a world in flux. It's constant motion, and with constant motion comes change. Everything about us is hybrid, mixed, and we're better for it. This is the beauty of diversity. I've come to appreciate the power of diversity throughout my life. Growing up, my family moved quite a bit, and as a result, I split my childhood between Korea, Malaysia, and the United States. At the time, I was quite frustrated by the frequent moves. I was young and immature, just navigating those years when everything was new and scary. Adjusting to life in Malaysia was tough. For the first time in my life, I was stepping outside my comfort zone, experiencing a brand new world. I persevered, however, adapting to new food and language, making new friends, and discovering more about myself with each passing day. When we made the move to the United States, I faced racism for the first time, when some kids called me names and made fun of my Asian descent. I was hurt, but I knew that this was more a product of ignorance than hatred. The difficulties I endured in Malaysia helped me to overcome these obstacles I encountered in America, and with time, eventually acclimated to my new surroundings. Everything I picked up in Malaysia and the United States were being combined with all that I had absorbed in Korea. Together with my Korean respect for tradition and history is my American optimism, my can-do spirit, and idealistic vision of the world. In Malaysia, I learned that the Asian community is not a monolith. It's nuanced and complex and more diverse than anyone can imagine. It really wasn't until years later that I realized how fortunate I had been to have the opportunity to be enriched by the cultures of Korea, Malaysia, and the United States. I've also had the pleasure of meeting so many different people from all over the world, each leaving his or her impression on my persona. Each stop of my journey has left an indelible impression on my persona, shaping me into who I am today. My experiences have taught me the importance of always being curious and viewing the world with an open mind. The most important thing I've learned, though, is that despite the multitude of differences that make up the people of the world, there is more that ties us together. We must not be afraid to ask questions, even the tough questions, and be ready to encounter those who disagree. What is this rich diversity of ideas and beliefs that we must tap into in order to solve our most pressing problems? Thank you.
Helena Lada, my dad, was an international student from Saudi Arabia who graduated from Suffield in 1990. He went to Suffield because of his friend Milo Terzic, and if not for him, I would probably not be standing here before you today. My name is Helena Lada, and I'm a four-year senior from New York. For my entire childhood, my dad told me stories of his years at boarding school. This grew my excitement to attend Suffield before I even applied. Today, I'd like to tell you about both of our times at Suffield and how this school has transformed for the better and renewed my father's love for it. My dad lived in Fuller for all 3 years of his time here. Being a new sophomore and living in America for the first time was tough, on top of the fact that his parents were living across the world. He told me that Suffield used to have dorm phones where you could call your parents a certain number of times a week. You would have to wait in a long line to use the phone, and once you were on the phone, the entire line of people would be listening to you, which was sometimes awkward to say the least. Swimming was the one thing that my dad really enjoyed at Suffield, and coincidentally, Mr. Lowe was his swim coach and also his mentor. I was lucky enough to be taught by Mr. Lowe last year, and my dad and I bonded over his dry humor and wit. He also taught us both about hard work, determination, and leadership through the employment of guilt tripping. To this day, neither of us want to disappoint Mr. Lowe. Another one of my dad's mentors at Suffield was Mr. Sami, whom Sami Dorm is named after. When my dad was in Mr. Sami's geometry class at Suffield, Mr. Sami would smoke a pipe during class and whack students on the head who got the answers wrong or misbehaved. Despite this, my father found deep comfort in the Sami's family inclusion of international students and dedication to making Suffield feel more like home for them. After a few years of living in Fuller, it was expected that my dad was going to get into some trouble. His senior year, he discovered a staircase in Fuller that led to the attic. He and some friends acquired a key to this staircase one Sunday and climbed into the dusty Fuller attic. They discovered a lot of old furniture and low rafters, and they had the genius idea to stack several desks on top of each other high enough to climb up into the rafters. And once they were in the rafters, they climbed into the bell. My dad said it's the best view of Suffield he's ever seen. When the time came for me to apply to boarding school, I knew I had to go to Suffield and experience these crazy things my dad told me about as a kid. Even though my dad did not have the most amazing experience at Suffield, he was very supportive of my decision. I think it's the best decision I've ever made. Now that I'm at Suffield, my dad has had the chance to reconnect with the school. He sends me letters and postcards often, just like his parents used to do for him. Just this week, I received a postcard that he sent me from Japan. While he was there, he visited 2 of his Suffield roommates, Hiro and Tomoki. He even brought them gifts from the school store. My dad also wears his Suffield t-shirts and other merchandise weekly. My dad, my boyfriend Damien, and I were discussing how Damien resided in Fuller during my junior year when they discovered that they actually lived in the same room. This was the room directly above the headmaster's office, making it the most notorious room in the dorm. When they learned they shared not only the same room, but the same closet, my father informed Damien of a secret compartment on top of the closet that connected to a little attic space. Damien was eager to investigate and discovered the compartment had been sealed off. Suffield has connected me with the most incredible people through a series of small coincidences. On the first day of school this year, I lost my dad during move-in. Searching frantically, I found him sitting on the steps of Brewster in a sentimental state. My dad told me something that I thought I'd never hear. He said that he was finally glad that I came to Suffield. Thank you.
Great day, everybody.